They said the truth won't survive beside the lies that maintain the decaying faces of display. Pill ill, y'all niggas better listen. I'm black 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 pill, I'm ill with this will. 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 I'm black pill, I'm ill with this will.
Yep. Let's see if it's going on. It's working. Let's see. Problem with oh, that's the problem with stereo. It at times acts a little slow. But give me 1 minute. Yeah, it at times acts a little slow. But basically give me 1 minute. Mm, yeah. Well, welcome, man. This is Hold the Truth Hostage, where if the truth was so important, we wouldn't negotiate with lies. Um, give me 1 minute. Yeah, put it on Do Not Disturb for a minute. Well, this episode's gonna be about something I think most people are not speaking about, and that's aliens. Most people aren't willing to talk about what I'm about to talk about. And just a heads up, this is just to be transparent as possible. This show is basically, the sexuality featured is that of a straight man and my perspective. Now, this is going to be about aliens, and basically, what would the aliens be doing? Who would the aliens talk to? A lot of times when we watch TV and documentaries, they tell us, oh, the aliens aren't here. People are being kidnapped, probed, but no one speaks about who would the aliens talk to. Who would represent us? Who would represent mankind if the aliens arrived? You know what I mean? Who would the aliens talk to? And a theory I have, and it's gonna hurt some people's feelings, but I personally think if aliens were here, they would only talk to one race of people on this planet. They would only talk to one race of people on this planet. And what I think the aliens and who they would talk to would be only Caucasians. I think if the aliens came, they would only talk to white people. And some people might get offended by this, but I'm just dropping the truth here. This is also a black pilled perspective, meaning, what I mean by the black pill is to seek solutions and think without attachments and emotion, just for the truth, the black pill truth. And what I think is if aliens arrived on Earth, or even if the aliens, me personally, I think aliens are already here. There's certain sounds. I remember, you can look it up online. There's spectrums of light we can't even see, as human beings. For example, I heard it's rare for a human to be able to see the fourth spectrum of light, but a cat could see the fourth spectrum of light. And some humans are born with the ability of being able to see the fourth spectrum of light. And the reason I bring this up is that think about it when you, for example, if you watch Law and Order, when the cops are interviewing or interrogating someone, you're behind this, I think it's called a plexiglass or something, where, the people on the inside can't see who's watching them on the outside, you know? So if you think about it, if the aliens, for example, have technology that we can't see or perceive, they're already here. I mean, there's certain levels of sound we can't hear. So if you think about it, if an alien's already here, if they're cloaking themselves in a certain spectrum of light we can't see, and they're cloaking themselves in a certain sound where we can't hear, they're already among us. You know what I mean? That's the weird thing, is they don't want you to think critically about what we can't hear or see or smell. And if aliens had the technology, and they're already here. They're already here, and they've yet to make contact, or they did. Now let's go back to what I'm saying. Now, why would aliens only speak to white people? You know what I'm saying? Now, why would the aliens only speak to white people? Well, you gotta look at it. If you look at this whole world we live in, the dominant race, or the dominant breed of human is, the dominant breed of man is the white man. And the aliens would only talk to the white man. You know what I'm saying? This will hurt some people's feelings, but you got to understand, the majority of other races are idolizing the white man. So if you're an alien, why would you talk to black people? Why would you talk to Asian people? Why would you talk to other races or ethnicities of people when they worship the white people anyway? I mean, why would an alien waste its time talking to anyone besides white people? You know what I'm saying? The black people worship the black people worship white people. You know what I'm saying? You have black women worshiping white features with the wigs, the weave, that straight hair, trying to replicate the genetics of the white people. You know what I'm saying? Then you have Asian women literally having surgery to alter their eyes so it can appear more like the eyes of a white person, you know? So if aliens arrived, the aliens would only be talking to white people. They wouldn't waste their time talking to ethnicities of people that worship a white person on earth. You know what I'm saying? Why would the aliens waste their time talking to black people, talking to Asian people, Mexicans, minorities, whatever? It would only, if the aliens were here, they would only be talking to white people. You know what I'm saying? And what you got to question about that is, the question then becomes, which white person would the aliens be talking to? You know what I'm saying? As in, what would be their origin of birth, and, where they come from, you know? And some people gonna listen to this and think I'm a little crazy here and there, or I'm offbeat, insensitive, but what I'm speaking is absolute logic. Why would you, as a higher being, a higher life form, the aliens, why would you talk to other races of people when they worship the white people that are on earth? You know what I'm saying? If you look at the majority of people on this planet, they worship white people. You know what I'm saying? Black people worship. I mean, fine example. is the black man in America. A lot of people here are celebrating Jackie Robinson, but in reality, Jackie Robinson is a failure. You know what I'm saying? Jackie Robinson abandoned the league of his own people, the Negro League, to just play for the validation of the white people in the MLB who didn't even do nothing. I mean, the MLB didn't do nothing to help racial issues. All the MLB told Jackie is Jackie, my boy. Jackie, my boy, if you play for the MLB, eventually they're going to stop calling you a nigger and they're going to start cheering for you, Jackie. And, Jackie, Jackie Robinson played for the MLB, abandoned the Negro League just to get some cheers from white people. You know what I'm saying? That means when Jackie Robinson's family would come to games, they were risking their lives. You know what I'm saying? They were risking their lives just to come watch Jackie Robinson. The MLB didn't do nothing. But that's how deep the worship and the seeking of white validation is by the black man. You know what I'm saying? That's how deep it is. The worship of white validation and and Jackie Robinson left the Negro League just to play for white people and to have white people cheer for him. You know what I'm saying? So then you look at black history further, you know what I'm saying? You had black people, if you look at singers from the 1940s and 30s, a lot of those black people permed their hair. You know what I'm saying? They would perm their hair to replicate the texture of white hair and to basically be perceived as somewhat white. So they would perform, you know what I'm saying, they'd be more accepted. They'd be more accepted by downgrading their own features. You know what I'm saying? So then you fast forward, you have the civil rights movement. And the civil rights movement, you see there's a major scam with it. The major scam of the civil rights movement is that it was about one day white children and black children would eat together, when in reality it had nothing to do with eating together. It was about the black people pay taxes just like white people. And their taxes fund the cops, it funds the whole country. So there shouldn't be any segregated parks, segregated fountains. There shouldn't really be any public things that are segregated because, taxation, you know what I'm saying? If everyone's being taxed, why would some things be segregated? You know what I'm saying? But the Martin Luther King scam, and the reason I look at it as a scam is you got to think, why would the mainstream media be playing Martin Luther King's dream speech every freaking month? Why would they support it that earlier on? That early on, because the goal was to alter the reason behind the civil rights movement. Civil rights movement wasn't about white kids and black kids eating together because that was already happening. The poorer blacks and the poorer whites were already eating together. It had to do with taxation. If I'm being taxed as a black man, my taxes are funding the police and so on, then there shouldn't be any segregated parks. There shouldn't be any segregation when it comes to public affairs. Now, diner, a private property, private business, yeah, it should be allowed to serve whoever they want. I mean, blacks had their own restaurants, their own schools and so on. I mean, even with the schools, this is why the schools shouldn't have been segregated because public schools were being funded by, when it comes to tax doesn't care if you're black or white. You're going to pay it one way or another. You know what I mean? So the black people, of course, you had to, unsegregate schools. But if you look at black history, the blacks went into the schools, the white owned schools, without any representation on the higher ups. That's how important, white validation is to black people. We'll just go to the white schools because hey, the white people will validate us. You know what I'm saying? When those times when they were in I forget the word, wasn't interrogating, when they were letting whites and blacks in the same school. I forget the word. But yeah, when they were letting blacks into the white schools weren't hiring any blacks or minorities to edit the books and the novels and have higher ups, educated blacks decide, yeah, man, the educational curriculum needs to change. If you're gonna allow other races of people in the school, you need to change the educational curriculum. You can't just have black people reading books about them being slaves. You know what I'm saying? You can't just have them reading books about being slaves. That's why I say the whole civil rights thing, there's a major scam in civil rights. You know, it's a major scam. And if you even look at it where and I think it was called integration, I forget what it is. When they let the black people into the white schools, you know what I'm saying? Those schools got higher funding for letting a few. That's how you could tell it was a scam. The government gave money to the white schools that let a few black people in, let a few black people into the schools. So they gave them money while not giving those black schools that were operating more money instead, you know. But this is why I say, man, if aliens were to have, if aliens are here, they're only gonna be talking to white people because the other races of people are worshiping white people. You got black people worshiping white people. You know what I'm saying? I like to tell people this. The only reason black people wouldn't go to Africa is that there's not enough white validation. There's not enough white people in Africa to give them validation. I mean, if you look at all the sports, you look at Colin Kaepernick, for example, had an issue with the NFL, and now he's trying to get back into the NFL. Instead of trying to start his own league or talk to others to start their own league, and you got to think the NFL is over 70% black. So why wouldn't Kaepernick just start his own league with some other blacks? Instead, he's trying to get back into the NFL to give validation, white validation. That's why I'm saying, man, if you look at it, and a lot of the news won't say this, because, you have this whole BS, this civil rights BS, whites and blacks will eat together. And a lot of people don't look at how sarcastic that is, that blacks and whites will eat together. That's what civil rights was about, you know. Give me 1 minute. No, that civil rights is about blacks and white children eating together. If civil rights is about blacks and whites eating together, then we don't need to look for any more equality. You know what I'm saying? We don't need to. Because guess what? Blacks and whites can eat together. So why do you need to have civil rights? Why do you need to change the laws between authority and minorities when, hey, the mission accomplished? Blacks and whites could eat together. And so, that one day black and white children will drink in the same fountain and eat together. Yeah, it's mission accomplished then. Blacks and whites could eat together. So who cares about the police issue? Who cares about the politicians that created the crime bill that targets minorities and poor whites? Who cares? Because the civil rights movement, mission accomplished. Blacks and whites can eat together, so everything's fair and square. You know what I mean? That's how you can tell it's a scam. And the media keeps playing the I have a dream speech because that's the goal, the dream. You know what I'm saying? Blacks and whites will eat together. So who cares if the cops or the politicians are targeting minorities with the crime bill, the war on drugs? Who cares if the CIA implanted drugs into the urban community and poor white communities? Who cares? Because I mean, blacks and whites can eat together, so mission accomplished. And the reason I say aliens would only be talking to white people is that, like I keep reiterating, every other race of people or ethnicity worship white people. You know what I'm saying? And you know, I'm not being racist against white people or disrespectful. I'm not blaming them for this. This is just facts. You know what I'm saying? You have even in Africa, you go all the way to Africa, the women in Africa are wearing wigs. I saw a video where, you know, the black women in Africa that don't have access to a hot iron, you know what I'm saying? It's basically to straighten their hair. They'll do it with fire. They'll literally burn some. I think it was they would burn some stone and just, you know, straighten their hair with burned stone. That's how much, you know, white features are worshipped. You know what I'm saying? So if I'm an alien, you know, let's just say I'm an alien, why would I talk to minorities? Why would I talk to black people when they worship, you know, a ethnicity of their own? You know, they worship an ethnicity of humans to begin with. I would go to the source. You know, the aliens would go to the source and just talk to the white people. I mean, technically, you got to think about it. Majority of people being probed, kidnapped, or whatever that claim to have been talking to aliens are usually white people. You know what I'm saying? Now, other races of people say, "Oh man, that's just white people. That's what they do." You know, white people will say they talk to aliens, and you know that's a white thing. That's an issue with white people. That's what they do. No, in reality, if you think about it, you know what I'm saying? If you think about it critically and you remove your emotions and you remove your attachments to your race and all this bullshit about your ethnicity, and if you look at it, it makes logical sense that the aliens, if the aliens communicate with anybody, they would talk to white people because, you know, the white people basically are the most worshiped, the most validated people in the world. You know what I'm saying? You look at rap, you know, I know I keep going back to black people, but the most popular culture in the world right now, and it has been for over 40 years, it's black culture. You know, the black American created rock, rap, jazz, you know, you name it. The black American created it. You know, these sources of entertainment and, you know, sports, blacks, whatever. But when you look at who they look for validation, for example, black people created rock and they were looking for white people to validate it. You know what I'm saying? Other races of people, for example, I'll use the Mexican people. Mexican people are not looking for awards from white people for salsa, merengue, bachata, whatever their type of music is. When they create something, they don't look for white people to validate it. They validate their own. You know what I'm saying? So you have the most popular culture of people in the world, the Black American, and you don't and a lot of people don't ask the accomplishment. You know, that's why I say a lot of black people, man, they downplay the accomplishments of their ancestors and the black people that came before them. I mean, the black American is the only race of people that were enslaved that created a hyper rate, like the hyper rate of culture. You know, the black American, when they were enslaved, you know what I'm saying? When the black American was enslaved, instead of looking back and looking at Africa, looking where they came from, they literally got together, especially with how they were bred and cut off from their origin. the Black American got together and literally created culture like crazy. I mean, if you look at the rate the Black people in America created rock, country, all this, creativity the Black American created, it's never happened before. There's never been a race of people that were enslaved that literally created new forms of culture. That's why it really bothers me when Black Americans say, "Oh, we've never had anything, we've never accomplished anything," and you're like, "Wow, you're spitting on the achievements of your ancestors that created rock." I mean, that created the Black man created, I think, the traffic sign, heart surgery process, the refrigerator. There's so much Black people accomplished, but the modern Black American will not accredit the accomplishments of Blacks. I mean, you could even look at when Trump said, "Make America great again." And a lot of Black people say, when was America ever great? You know what I'm saying? When Black people during segregation accomplished so much. They had their own restaurants, their own schools. There's so much the Black person accomplished. You like a lot of Black people like to bring up Black Wall Street, but they'll say, "Oh man, we need forget we need forget what it is. We need 40 acres and a mule." You know what I'm saying? When Blacks won't acknowledge what the Black people accomplished before them. So there's a lot of because the reason, and I've come to this realization that the reason Black Americans will not accomplish, will not, what I'm saying, celebrate what the Black people before them achieved is that it would force them to face responsibility for the shortcomings of Black Americans, the shortcomings, the fact that Black Americans accomplished so much and still failed. You know what I'm saying? I would give you an example. You had a boxer, a world champion that was a Black man, and he created the monkey wrench, and they called it the monkey wrench to basically tease him because it was made by a Black person, so we'll call it the monkey wrench. He created the wrench. You know what I'm saying? And he was a champion. He was the first Black heavyweight champion, and he didn't open his own school to train Black boxers to be greater than him or whatever. Instead, he just gathered this money, dated some white women, and just, you know, obtained as much white validation as he could. So if you look at the history of Black people in this country, you see a lot of seeking white validation. I mean, me personally, I think if a Black man created the hovercraft, let's say created a hover car, not this BS hoverboards we have now, where they call it a hoverboard when in reality, the board still touches the ground. But if a Black man created a flying car, he was driving around Black people, he would say, "Wait a minute, I need the white man to tell me and validate this technology." You know what I'm saying? If white people don't say it's good, it ain't good. I mean, look at the Grammys. Black people created hip hop and they're looking for awards from white people to give them awards for something they created. You know what I'm saying? It's backwards. It's insane. You know, this is why I say if aliens came to Earth, the aliens would only talk to white people because the white people are being worshipped. The white people's validation means everything to the other races of people. So why would the aliens, and I mean to anybody listening, why would the aliens talk to any other race of people? Asian people are having surgery to alter their eyes, you know what I'm saying? Just to, I forget I think they call it double eyelid surgery. Like Asian people are literally having surgery to, to, uh, to be like white people, you know what I'm saying? Asian people are literally having surgery to look like white people to change. I think it's called double eyelid surgery where widen their eyes, you know. Then you have black women wearing weaves to straighten their hair. And then you have people bleaching themselves. Like you got black people all over the world. You got Indians. You know, Indian people are naturally darker and they're bleaching their skin. I mean, everyone, if you look at the races of people in this world, everyone, especially the minority sector, blacks, Indians, Asians, you know, a lot of them are bleaching their skin just to appeal more Caucasian, you know what I'm saying, with their skin complexion, you know. Then you have the black women wearing weaves, going through the perm process. A lot of white people, I tell you, if you're white, look up the process to perm your hair. And you see black people, a black woman will literally burn her scalp just to straighten her hair. That's why a lot of black women are going bald. They perm their hair, they relax it where it forces it to be straight. And the perm is so strong, it can literally burn through a tire. They'll burn their scalp just to straighten their hair. Then you gotta look at when blacks used to get jerry curls, you know, and a lot of blacks to this day celebrate it. But it's a low time in black history that, you know, blacks had jerry curls. They would grease the shit out of their hair just to kind of make it a little, you know, curlier and a texture to be less snappy and be more like white hair. You know what I'm saying? So if I look at the aliens, man, if the aliens are here or if the aliens are trying to make contact, they're gonna make contact with white people because the white people are the epitome of the human race. You know what I'm saying? Their opinion means the most. Their accomplishments mean the most. You know what I'm saying? From Africa to Haiti, Jamaica, India, any country you go to, they're worshiping and seeking white validation. So why would an alien waste its time talking to black people, waste its time talking to Asian people? I mean, I remember when I thought of this, I was talking to a buddy of mine and I made this realization. I mean, it was shocking to me. I had an epitome. I had a epiphany. I was like, man, the aliens arrived, bro. They wouldn't talk to me. You know, they wouldn't talk to me, a black person. You know, why would they? Why would the aliens talk to me when, if they look at the race of my people, we're idolizing and worshiping white people to begin with? So why would the aliens waste their time talking to me, a black person? You know what I'm saying? When black people have been proven to worship white people anyway. So why would the aliens waste their time talking to a race of people that are lesser? You know what I'm saying? You know what I mean? Some people will hear this and say, oh man, you know, some black people that are uneducated will say, oh, he's a coon. He's a coon. He's a house Negro. He worships whites. He doesn't have enough pride in his own race, in his own people. But it's the truth. I mean, the majority of black people, the majority of other races of people worship white people. You know what I'm saying? They worship what the ground white people walk on. I mean, give me a minute. The majority of ethnicities in this world worship white people. You know what I'm saying? And not one person listening to this will be able to prove me wrong. Not one. You know, because what I'm speaking is literally the black pill truth. It lacks emotion. There's no emotion behind these words. There's no attachment. This is the truth in its rawest form. If the aliens arrived here, and if the aliens are already here, they're only communicating with white people. They're not trying to communicate with the lesser race of people that are worshiping. Think about it. You know what I'm saying? Think about it logically. I mean, close your eyes for a minute. Think about it. We're on Earth. We're all on Earth. And you're worshiping another ethnicity of human being. You know what I'm saying? Another ethnicity of people, which is white people. You know, white people are being worshipped by all other races. You know what I'm saying? So if you're an alien and you're trying to make contact with the people that represent this earth, you're going to talk to the white people. You're going to be, hey, white man, I know you represent the entire race of human beings. So, you know, let's talk. Let's talk. Let's figure out what you want to do. Let's figure out your thoughts on this planet Earth and, you know, what you want to accomplish because you represent the entire human race. You're the most valued race of human. You're the race every other human seeks to be. They're having surgery to change their eyes to be just like you, white man. So, white man, what are your thoughts? Let me play this message.
Yeah, bro, that's the problem, man. Like, we worship people. You know, why worship another person who's just as equal as you? We can take it way back to the Egyptians and the Aztecs and some of the Sumerians with the ancient structures. They were worshiping aliens. But really, we gotta take it back to worshiping the Most High.
Yeah, oh man, you know, riff for you when you record, you gotta be louder. I mean, could barely hear what you were saying, but from what I got, yeah, I mean, well, you got blacks who accomplished, you know, the Egyptians. I mean, it's Africa, Egyptian accomplishments and so on. But if you look at it, you know, that was the whole past and everything. If you look at modern culture, the people that colonized most of the world now, certain blacks will say, "Oh man, they're colonizers," and you know, the white people were abusive. But you gotta look at it from a win-loss scenario and a perspective of dominance. The white people dominated the majority of the world. You know what I'm saying? I know Genghis Khan once dominated almost the entire world. You had Mansa Musa who dominated all of Africa, wealthiest man to ever exist. You know, Mansa Musa was literally draping his slaves in gold and silk. You know what I mean? And you gotta think back then, silk process was crazy. You know what I mean? It's not like now where they've literally experimented with goats so they can produce silk with their milk. You know what I'm saying? But the thing is, the most dominant culture in all of Earth, in all of mankind, presently and in the past, is the white race. You know what I'm saying? It's the white ethnicity. And, you know, I'm not being racist to white people or against them. I'm just laying down the facts. And the facts are the most dominant race of people, the most respected, the most feared, the most technologically respected is white people. You know what I'm saying? Let me play this message.
Yeah, my bad. You hear me? But what I was saying is that was the issue, that people are worshiping other people. Like, why would you worship somebody who's an equal to you? And I brought up the point about the Egyptians, the Aztecs, and the ancient Sumerians. Like, when they built their structures, they were worshiping aliens. And the issue is that we stop worshiping the Most High. That's it. We get rid of worship.
Well, I mean, if you look at even even the worshiping of I was talking to a buddy of mine, the Most High, you know, the Christians, and this is why I say the white people are number one in this world, is that white people eventually, you know, created, no, I think it was the Jews. The Jews created Judaism, and Judaism eventually bred about Christianity, which was this whole one God ideal. This one God ideal. Now, a lot of people listen to this whole one God ideal and think it's a positive. but in reality, it's a negative. You know, before there was one God, if you look at the Egyptian gods, you look at the Greek gods, you look at the Chinese, the Japanese gods, you know, Aztecs, Native Americans, everyone had different gods, and each god had their own personality. You know what I'm saying? An example, the Greeks, you had the goddess of love. You had Ares, the god of war. Every god had their own interest. You know, same thing with the Egyptians. You had Anubis, the god of death. You know what I mean? You had all these different type of gods. Even the Vikings, you had Thor. You know what I'm saying? Then you had Thor was basically like a god of war type of character. Then you had Loki, who's the god of mischief. There were other people worshiped different gods. The gods had their own personalities. Then Christianity came and decreed that there is only one God. You know what I'm saying? One God, because it's a lot easier to control people when you have them all worshiping one God instead of being in separate camps. You know what I mean? If you look at the Egyptian gods, some people worship in Anubis. Some people worship in the other Egyptian gods, you know what I'm saying? Horus. Some people in the Greeks would worship only Zeus. Like some people worshiping the Greek gods would only worship Zeus. Others were worshiping Ares, Athena, you know what I'm saying? They were, we used to worship different gods. I mean, in Africa, you had people worshiping Shango, you know what I'm saying? The Indians worship different gods, with the Sumatran gods, whatever. I mean, I'm not 100% well read on that, but you had different gods for different people. You know what I'm saying? Once we started worshiping this one God ideal, and you gotta look at it. You gotta look at it. If mankind is an example of God. For example, if mankind is an example of God, then that means we have our different personalities, our our individual, personalities, wants, and desires, and issues would be replicated in the gods. You know what I'm saying? That's why you got certain people worshiping Hercules. They're like, oh man, some people, like if you were to look at bodybuilders, they're really trying to be Hercules. They're worshiping strength, muscular, being the strongest they could be. Or even if you look at people would read the book of Christianity when they would worship, I forget his name. They cut his hair and Samson. People worshiping Samson's strength. You know what I mean? Some people just worshiping his strength and the accomplishment he had with his strength. Once Christianity became and Christianity, Muslim, religions that are built around this whole one God theory, it's designed to literally de de deteriorate, our individuality. You know what I'm saying? The Egyptians, the Aztecs worshipped many gods. You know what I mean? There's a God for everything because every human has a different interest, different emotions. You know what I'm saying? There was gods of happiness, gods of sadness, anger, you name it. There was a God because the gods were based around what we could achieve as humans. You know what I'm saying? As human beings, we have different emotions, man. We got fear, so you had a God of fear. You got death, so you had a God of death. You know what I'm saying? You could literally look at the gods and find a God that fit your interest. Then Christianity came and they had to wipe out this notion that there are differing gods to further control people because you're not allowed to have individuality. You know what I'm saying? If you compare Christianity to Egyptians, the Egyptian gods compared to the Greek gods, the Viking gods, compared to the Indian gods, and you'll understand that you are more free. You are more free religiously under the Egyptian gods, the Viking gods, and so on, because you had a you had a plethora of gods to choose from that would match you. I mean, if you think about the Most High and you think about God, it's just bland. You know what I mean? There's no personality. There's nothing. I mean, if you just think of God, you compare God to Zeus, compare God to Odin, compare God to the Egyptian all-powerful God. You know what I'm saying? They each had their own personality, their own interest. But when Christianity arrived and the Muslim faith arrived, the whole goal was to eliminate individuality. I mean, look at Moses when he said, "Well, you're not allowed to worship other idols." You know what I'm saying? You're not allowed to worship other gods that have individuality and have their own ideals. And that's based around humanity. I mean, we have our own ideals and our own cultures and our own ways of doing things. To worship one God is to actually limit the the human expression. You know what I'm saying? It was all about limitations. Let's have them worship one God. I mean, you look at the black American, you know what I'm saying? The biggest shortcoming of black Americans is the fact that they abide by this whole most high thing and this whole one God narrative that was literally given by their white enslavement. You know what I'm saying? That's why I say the aliens, if they come here, they're only talking to white people. You know what I'm saying? The whole one God, I mean, black people abandoned, you know what I'm saying? If you look at African history, there were so many gods in Africa, Egypt. You know, you got Shango, the god of thunder, from you know, further up in Africa. You have so many diverse gods. Then the majority of people take in the Christian faith and the Muslim faith where they limit themselves to one God. You know what I'm saying? They limit themselves to one expression. I mean, what if your interest is only about war? You know, what if your sole interest in life is war, combat? Who are you going to worship? You know what I'm saying? And if you look at the Christian religion and if you look at the Muslim religion, a lot of times when you try to worship something else, they demonize that. You know what I'm saying? You look at the God of wrath and you look at all the gods that come with you know, Christianity, you'll see that anything that's different is negative. You know, you got the God of greed, lust. You know, when they talk about lust and greed, they talk about lust and greed, it's demonized. You know, lust, greed, gluttony, I forget the others, the seven deadly sins as they call it. When in reality, those were other gods, man. They turned all the different personalities and different ideals of gods into the negative. If you look at Christianity and Muslim faith, you know what I'm saying? You're not allowed to worship anything that's individualistic, you know what I'm saying? Which limits your ability, you know what I'm saying? That's why a lot of people are struggling to quote unquote worship religion, you know, worship Christianity and the Muslim faith because it's a one God rule. There's a one entry fee. Even though, you know, you look at Jesus, Jesus had his own personality. You know, Christian religion is all about only the gods are allowed to have individuality. You know what I'm saying? Rather than you worshiping individuality. I mean, Jesus and Muhammad were seen as different figures and they were allowed to be different. But you're supposed to just worship this all seeing God that literally doesn't even have a personality. You know what I'm saying? When Christians try to sell you faith, I would say ask yourself this question. What is the personality of this God you want me to worship? You know, what is the personality of Allah? What is the personality of Jehovah? of the Most High? What is their personality? Because if they're of human beings, if we are part of God, then God would achieve the highest level of its personality. I mean, even I was talking to one of my homies, one of my boys, and he said before the Christian faith, Muslim and Judas faith, the gods didn't know everything. The gods were kind of like us. Aries didn't know everything. Aries would have to probably cheat by going to the sisters of faith that weave faith and destiny. You know what I'm saying? The gods before Christianity and Judaism and Muslim faith, they didn't know everything. They were just human, they were just a personality that achieved godhood. You know what I'm saying? That's why you had temples built around Athena, temples built around Anubis. You know what I'm saying? The Indian gods and the Monkey King from China and so on. Because, the Monkey King was very mischievous and humorous, so people who needed that used to be able to look at a god and say, "Oh man, I'm dealing with death. So I'm gonna go look into Anubis, man. I'm gonna pray to Anubis and hope that my death when I die that I go easily, that there isn't much suffering. You know what I'm saying? You had a God for everything you were dealing with. Now we just have a God that has no personality and they just tell you, hey, worship this one all seeing being. Basically, they're telling you don't have a personality, don't have any other interests, just worship this wonder bread God that has no personality at all. You know what I'm saying? That's what most new religions, the Christianity, Muslim faith, Judaism, they're based around keeping people in line. You know what I'm saying? If you look at Christianity, all the differing people in that faith are seen as sinful. You got the four horsemen, you got the seven deadly sins, and so on. You got the seven deadly sins and so on. Different personalities are demonized. You know what I'm saying? That's why less people are committing to religion because the religion it isn't human being. It isn't expressive. It isn't emotional. You know what I'm saying? I mean, to this day, people still remember the Viking gods. You know what I'm saying? People still remember the Egyptian gods, the gods of the further in Africa, Shango and the Monkey King and all these other religions of ancient religions because they had personality. You know what I'm saying? But like I was saying, man, if the aliens arrived, the aliens would seek out white people. Aliens would seek out white people to talk to them, and because they're seen as the superior race of human achievement. You know what I'm saying? Their validation has the most worth in the world. So if the aliens arrived, they would contact the white people and talk to them. Now the question would be, and this is more of a question, because in reality, I mean, I think if the aliens arrived, the race of white people they would talk to would most likely be the American white person. Because if you look at America, America basically conquered the world. The number one source of funding and money, is in America. America prints the global currency. So if the aliens arrived, they would seek out the white man in America. You know what I mean? And even look at the word white. You know what I'm saying? The white man in America would be seeked out. It wouldn't be the Europeans and so on. It would be the whites in America. Now, other people, if they had their choosing, they'd probably say, hey, man, hope the aliens contact the Swedes. Hope the aliens contact the Europeans, not the American whites, due to the racism and what's going on in America, whatever. The fact we're still dealing with issues that are from the 1960s, while other countries of whites, you don't really see that. You know what I'm saying? You don't see that as much, or if not ever. So, but if aliens were to arrive, and the thing is, the aliens are most likely already here, because if they cloak themselves or have technology that utilizes a frequency we can't hear or see, or spectrum of light we can't hear or see, then they could just walk around without us noticing them. You know what I'm saying? I mean, they've said if you look at a cat has the ability to see in the fourth spectrum of light. So they're seeing a spectrum of light we can't see. You know what I mean? That's why their heads be swiveling and moving around. They're seeing things we can't see. You know, but like I was saying, man, if aliens arrived, the aliens would be talking to the white man. They would be talking to the race of people that are most idolized and most accomplished. They wouldn't waste their time with lesser races of humans. You know what I'm saying? You got white people, you got black people bleaching their skin, Indian people bleaching their skin. You got all these people bleaching their skin, seeking the complexion of white people anyway. You know what I'm saying? So that's why you see a lot of white people saying, "Oh, I was probed." Maybe they were. Maybe they were probed. Maybe they were abducted. You know what I'm saying? No, because it makes sense that the aliens would come for them rather than the other races of people. You know, well, this has been my conversation speech, my conversation on this, and hopefully it enlightens you a little. Hopefully it got you thinking. And this has been Hold the Truth Hostage, where if the truth was so important, wouldn't negotiate with lies, would hold the truth hostage. This is a black pill perspective. And this content is sexuality featured as that of a straight male. All right, peace.
Pill ill, y'all niggas better listen. I'm black 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 pill, I'm ill with this will. 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 They said the truth won't survive beside the lies that maintain the decaying faces of this place.